Hey, recruiting law. Intelligence is underrated. We're talking about it today on the Gridiron Stud Show. Hey, I'm talking to you. Recruiting advice for everyone. It's the Gridiron Stud Show. All right, you've heard it all before. Every camp you go to, every time there's in a gathering and there's some older folks around talking to you about recruiting, they tell you education is the key. And they're telling you hit the books, go to school, get your grades, get your test score. And for a lot of you, that goes in one ear and out the other. And for some of you others, you hear it, you're already a good student, so it's just status quo for you. But what does that really mean, and how important is your intelligence in your actual football career? Well, it's more important than you may think. So you're piling into your science class or your history or English class or even your math class, knowing full well we've got things like calculators out there. Why do I need to learn this math? Just punch the numbers in the calculator and I get the answers that I want. It's all so simple. So why do I need to learn these things in these classes? Here's the biggest thing about school that you guys just maybe don't really understand or have never really been told. School teaches you how to learn, right? That's the bottom line of it. English, history, science, math, all these things teach your brain how to learn. And in the process of trying to excel in these classes and get the grades that you need to get and competing with your other classmates to get the best test scores, the best quiz scores, and get the best grades in the class, you are teaching your brain how to actually take in information, process it, and then recall it. And that is the same thing that happens in athletics as well as on the football field. So while you're sitting there thinking, man, I don't need math, math teaches you how to solve problems. Believe it or not, a football game is a series of problems. Your problem is this: if you're playing defense, the offense is running plays that is getting 10 yards and is keeping you on the field as they try to move down the field. The problem is they're trying to score touchdowns. You need to solve that problem by stopping them. And you go through a myriad of ways in figuring out how you're going to do that. That is processing the information coming in from the coach, processing what the play is, being able to quickly decipher what it is you're supposed to do on a particular play, oftentimes in relation to another teammate that's on the field with you. And then on top of that, you have to process the information that the offense is giving you. What formation are they in? How are they lined up? Who's in the game? What's the down and distance? All of these things are data. It's information that's being given to you that you need to process and then turn around and recall it. By recalling it, you may have watched film all week. So you need to know, what does this formation mean? What does this player in this particular position mean? What does it mean when the quarterback looks left or looks right? A number of things that go on. And what preps you best for handling all of that information and then recalling it in the middle of a game when things are moving at high speed? Science, math, history, English. Because what are you doing in those classes? You're getting information, you're processing it, and then you need to recall it, either when the teacher calls on you, or when you have a quiz, or when you have a test, or you have to write a paper. Now, if you go and ignore all those lessons that are being taught to you in the actual classrooms, when it's science and it's math and it's history, this is something that you're doing 8 hours a day. If you go ahead and don't pay much attention to that, it's going to be very difficult for you to excel out on a football field when a coach starts giving you information that you now need to process and then recall. And I'll tell you what, trying to come up with an answer in a football game within 2 seconds or when people are moving at you high speed is a whole lot easier than trying to process a math problem or several math problems when you've been given 45 minutes to get those answers on a test. And you could sometimes give an answer and then change the answer later on to something that might be correct. You don't have that luxury on a football field. Get the answer wrong right then and there, and there's a mistake, and there's no going back to get that play over. So, yes, you need test scores. Yes, you need a high GPA. Why? Because the schools and the NCAA rules suggest that you need to have a certain minimum test score and a certain minimum GPA on a sliding scale to get into their school. Furthermore, you're going to need to keep a certain GPA and pass a certain amount of classes when you're in college to remain on the football field. But that shouldn't be the only reason that you take your education seriously. Because at the end of the day, once again, education, going to school, and science and math and history and English and all these other things teach you how to learn. So now in youth football, when you're 7, 8, 9 years old, there's probably not a playbook on your team. So there isn't that much data for you to process other than what your coach has told you during the week. So that's a little bit easier, but the reason that it's easier is because you guys are young at 7, 8, 9 years old. So what does that tell you? You haven't had as much schooling. Your coaches know that. Your brain is not prepped enough, so they don't give you as much information. When you get to middle school or you start moving into high school, you might now start to have a playbook. Why does a coach think it's okay for you to have a playbook in high school? Because he knows you've been through a certain amount of schooling at that point. That's pretty much how he bases it. You've been through a certain amount enough of schooling that your brain is prepped enough or should be prepped enough to receive this amount of information, process it, and then recall it either in practice or in a game. If you don't have a playbook in high school, which is not totally abnormal, you definitely will have a playbook when you get to college, and it's not going to be thin. Your playbook's going to be thick. How thick? They can get super duper heavyweight thick, like this, or even thicker, chuck full of a bunch of things you're going to need to know, full of all kinds of information and data that you're going to get, that you're going to have to process, and you're going to have to recall pretty quickly in a meeting, at a practice, as well as in a game. So if your mind has not been prepped over your first 18 or 19 years of existence to learn and to take in data and process it and recall it, you're going to struggle at the college football level. Perhaps you end up being some absolute freak athlete, 6'5", 230 pounds, you can run a 4.4, 4.3 40. In that case, your college coach might put up with the fact that you don't process information and you don't learn that well. They might just give you 1 or 2 things that you can do well and do those in a game. And you can get by on just that. They're not going to do it for a guy that's not a freak athlete. You know what they'll do? They'll just find another guy in the room that's as athletic, and there's going to be a room full of guys that are once you get to college. And if that guy can process information, he's going to play before you. You may never play if you can't pick up the playbook, if you can't process the information, if you can't handle a defense being checked or a quarterback audibling to another play and you knowing what to do or where to line up or where to go. If you struggle with that because you ignored your education throughout most of your life and you're not able to process information and recall it, then you're going to end up having your football career cut short. For what reason? Not because you're not fast enough, not because you're not tall enough, not because you're not strong enough, because you can't learn fast enough. And that's the part that a lot of people don't really get across to guys as they're trying to come up and play football. They get you in this mode of, oh, I just need to get the test score and the grades so that I can continue to play. Well, you need to get the test scores and the grades and be excellent at learning so that you can learn on the football field. There's a lot of information that's getting passed back and forth. You have meetings. Those meetings are about plays that you need to run and information that you need to process, like what the offense is doing on third down or what the defense is trying to do when you are lined up in a certain formation. And then what play are we going to check to? What formation we're going to change to? Why is the tight end going in motion? So much data is being passed back and forth in a 5-6 second football play that if you're not able to learn, if that's something that you really struggle with, you can expect to struggle on the football field as well. In which case, you're going to need to max out your physical attributes. And if you don't stack up physically, if you're not that much better physically than the man next to you or the guy that you're competing with, you're never going to see the field or have any amount of success. So it doesn't matter what point you are right now and you're watching this video. If you're in middle school, start taking your education seriously because you're going to need it as a football player. If you're in high school, you're heading into your senior year and you haven't taken your education seriously, you can start doing that right now because college is right around the corner. Never think it's too late. Start being able to learn. Start getting yourself in the mode of being able to process information, recall it, and be able to react physically to the information that you have processed and now you're recalling. That is a serious part of the game that really knocks a lot of guys out of it. A lot of times I've seen absolutely great athletes that you would look at and say, this guy is going to be great. They go to college and they get knocked out by the playbook. Too much data and information. They're overwhelmed. They're not used to it. They didn't like their science and math and textbook. It made them nauseous. And now the playbook is the thing that finally knocks them out and ends their football career. And when it happens, usually guys go to blaming other people, usually the coach, saying the coach has something against them and they don't want to play. Well, the coach doesn't think you can learn, so he doesn't trust you. He doesn't want to put you out there on Friday or Saturday night and have you running in the wrong direction and cost the team a game. And that's just really the long and short of it. Coaches play who they can trust. A lot of times, coaches trust smart players. Do they want guys that are great athletes? Yeah, you guys all see it. They want guys that are big and fast and strong. But ultimately, who do they really end up trusting the most? It's the intelligent guys that can pick up what the coach is saying super fast so the coach can move on to the next thing and coach his entire football team. So I'm telling you right now, recruiting law, intelligence is underrated. Start taking your education seriously, not just because you need to get a GPA, not just because you need a certain score on the SAT or the ACT, because you actually need to know how to learn when it comes time to playing football. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you're listening and you're a guy that likes school, I want you to drop a little comment for me right now. Tell me, what subject is your favorite one in school? Is it science? Is it math? Is it history? Is it English? History is my personal favorite, but what's your favorite? Drop a comment there. And if you like this video, by all means, like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. I'm releasing recruiting videos on a regular basis, so not only subscribe, hit the bell, you'll be notified when I put out my next recruiting video. So I hope this, guys, was very important for you and you guys learned something from it and you take it to heart. You need that education. Hope this helped you out. Until next time, Gridiron Studs, be seen.